Hi guys, welcome to Jetbox TV. Not often that I sort of come front facing on camera, but I just thought I would chat a little bit about helicopter incidents and helicopter accidents, one of which has been infamously and notoriously in the press recently with the tragic accident involving a Bell 206 L4 in New Jersey, New York, which resulted in 6 fatalities, the pilot and a family of 5 that were visiting from Spain. A very, very tragic incident, thankfully very rare, but unfortunately helicopter incidents do tend to make the press and worldwide media, especially when it's in New York. And also the passenger himself was a high profile executive with his family on board, which has devastatingly wiped out his whole family. There are firstly, helicopters don't fall out of the sky traditionally, and unfortunately this one fell out of the sky, but it's very, very, very rare. It's not a once in a lifetime event. It's the wrong expression. It's a lightning hitting 4 times in the same place within 5 minutes kind of strike. It just traditionally doesn't happen, and certainly not with helicopters that would be maintained under FAA or Federal Aviation Authority legislation and a maintenance programme, or the CAA for that matter, or most European countries. I don't know what happened, and that's the first thing. I'm not an expert. I'm a private pilot. I'm not mechanically minded beyond what I need to know for operating a helicopter. I'm not an accident investigator, and I'm not expressing an opinion. I'm just talking about it. And it would appear that, in all respects, this helicopter appeared, from video footage that's been released, to be flying quite normally. No Mayday message had been sent out. The aircraft seemed to be in straight and level flight as it was coming back into land. There's been a lot of talk about the fact that the helicopter pilot radioed in that he was short of fuel. As I understand, it wasn't short of fuel. He was requiring fuel, which is very common practice. I will often tell an airfield that I'm looking to pick up fuel because I've looked at my fuel gauge, I know what my next mission is, and I know whether I've got sufficient fuel or not. So there's a very significant difference between running out of fuel or being short on fuel and needing fuel. And as I understand it, the pilot concerned radioed through that he was going to need a refuel for whatever missions he knew he had coming up. In that respect, if we did experience an engine failure due to lack of fuel, the aircraft would not in any way, shape or form drop out of the sky, as it appears to have done on video footage that's been released. It is perfectly capable of being brought to the ground. Obviously they were over water at the time, so slightly different, but it's perfectly capable of being auto-rotated into a field, and the helicopter being in good condition after it's landed. No difference if it had been landed under full power with fuel on board. This clearly isn't the situation, and I'm fairly certain the NTSB, who will at some point conclude an investigation, will determine how much fuel was remaining. They should be able to determine that from the fuel tanks that likely would be on board. I don't believe there was a fire or an after crash fire. But footage does seem to indicate some form of catastrophic event that has caused a breakup in flight. And this is extremely rare. The maintenance program for a helicopter in most westernised countries or developed countries, shall we say, is pretty robust. Checks every 50 hours, a different type of check every 50 hours, an annual check, metallurgy checks, gearbox checks, all sorts of things. However, that just will not legislate for some form of catastrophe or catastrophic failure that just simply couldn't be predicted. There is video footage that suggests that the main rotor blade detached from the airframe, and in doing so chopped off the tail rotor. There is a suggestion online that the tail rotor failed first, and that the detachment of that then caused the breakup of the main rotor. again, this is likely to be determined by the NTSB. What is clear is that some form of unpredictable catastrophic failure has occurred. Most likely a failure within the transmission, the gearbox system, and more than likely to be a seizure of some sort. So whether it be a failure of a bearing which has caused the seizure, and then the gyroscopic and rotational forces of whether it be the main rotor blades or the tail rotor blades have been so dramatic that it's ripped effectively the mechanism out of the aircraft. And I don't think it will take long for the NTSB to come out with at least a preliminary report before they then do a detailed report. It is fair to say that it is nothing short of catastrophic. It's not great for the helicopter community. We don't like seeing these things, but unfortunately these things occasionally, rarely, but occasionally happen. And basically, what I'm trying to do today is just reassure people that are watching, and the helicopter community and the non-helicopter community and the aviation community in general, that regrettably, there are going to be instances of mechanical failure that leads to a very serious aviation industry incident and fatalities. Typically, helicopter incidents don't have a mechanical failure associated with them, and that is due to the maintenance program. Most or many helicopter incidents are a result of pilot error, an error in judgment, making them proceed in bad weather, inadvertently entering cloud, which we call that inadvertent IMC, instrument meteorological conditions, where the aircraft and the pilot is not equipped to flying in those environmental conditions. So cloud, controlled flight into terrain, so flying into an obstacle that they were unable to see, whether it be a mast, which can be difficult to see. Some of them are, or many of them are marked on maps and on GPS systems that we use. Oh, that's my phone. You can shut up there. Many of them are marked on maps and GPS systems, but not all. But typically that collision might occur in low weather, where the aircraft is being forced lower and lower, and instead of the pilot putting the aircraft into a field or diverting somewhere, he or she presses on and then unfortunately collides with an obstacle that was in cloud or they couldn't see due to poor visibility. Other failures, running out of fuel, those things can happen. But traditionally, many, I don't know the statistics, many would be down to error in judgment of the pilots, resulting in something else occurring. So that's just what I wanted to chat about today. Like I say, I'm in no way an expert. I'm in no way offering an opinion. What I'm actually just trying to reassure viewers is that seeing a helicopter plunge out of the sky is beyond a rarity. I guess people are now going to say, well, hang on a minute, we had one flying, we had a military helicopter fly into a commercial airliner at Ronald Reagan Airport recently, and we did. Again, the report's not out on that. I don't want to prejudge it in any way, shape or form, but this is a collision between an airliner that was on an approach path into an airport on a clearance, and a helicopter that seems to have flown not in accordance with its clearance, slightly higher at night, and more than likely the pilot was fixated on a different aircraft and had convinced themselves that they were looking at the correct aircraft that they were supposed to be passing behind. And these are phenomena that we call confirmation bias, where we're told to look for an airliner, we see an airliner, we believe it's the correct airliner, it could be anything, and we don't make other checks to sort of double check to make sure we're looking at the correct one. And I think that is almost likely to be the situation with the, I think it was a Black Hawk helicopter. So regrettably that will be categorised, if it's proven to be that way, as pilot error. Anyway, I hope this has sort of given you a little bit of an insight as to what might have happened, an element of reassurance in terms of helicopters and helicopter flights. And if you've liked what you've heard and if you like what you see, it'd be nice if you want to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for further videos. Thanks very much for watching.